We're not podcasters. We're women. Oh, am I supposed to start it now? Hi, Dana.
Hey, Sarah.
How are you doing?
I am good. I have a random question that I need you to answer today.
Ooh, okay. I like random questions.
I want to know why the sky is blue.
Oh, are you teeing me up? Are you teeing me up right now? What if I told you it's not, Dana? What if I told you it's getting a little dark out? A little misty? A little bit of love and thunder?
Oh!
And now, welcome to Crash and Burn. We're talking about Thor, Love and Thunder.
No. This is ink and paint. This is ink and paint.
Oh, but it says Crash and Burn right there.
Who cares?
Whose fault is that? Welcome to Ink and Paint. This is Ink and Paint. Love and Thunder. You're welcome.
Welcome to Ink and Paint / Crash and Burn, apparently.
Hey man, it's on the screen.
That was the funniest thing ever because Sarah kept looking at me like, is that good? Is that good? Nope. More. And every time you were like, dig a little deeper. Dig a little deeper. What's up, everybody? This is a Ink and Paint special review of Thor, Love and Thunder, which hit theaters this week. I am Steve.
I'm Jay.
I am Dana.
And I'm Sarah.
Thought that because of such a special occurrence, we would get the ladies in on this show. And I like how the show started with, we're not podcasters, we're women. Did you hear the beginning of what you said? That was hysterical. I cannot wait to keep that in there.
I thought it was funny.
We're not podcasters, we're women. I don't even know what that means.
It sounded dramatic, but it also could be insulting. Like if you said it, it's insulting.
Exactly.
If I say it, it's
double standards. And double standards galore. Let's go over Taika Waititi's sequel to Thor Ragnarok, Thor Love and Thunder. Let's get right into it. Jay, you guys went and saw it. Did you see it in a regular theater or IMAX, first of all?
We saw it in a regular theater.
And who'd you take?
We took the whole family and then some. We took my daughter's boyfriend and his bride to his friend. But yeah, they're both really cool guys. But
okay, very cool.
Did I what? What were you gonna say?
It sounded like you said him and his wife, and it was a very weird thing. You'll have to listen to it on the audio.
It's a complicated relationship.
Yeah, it sounded.
Right.
It's a love triangle.
And so you saw it opening day, just like we did. I will be honest, I don't recall a lot of them being like IMAX centric. You could see sometimes the screen would get larger, but it was nothing that I would consider a game changer. Unlike Top Gun, that one, if you saw it in IMAX, you saw a completely different film than everybody else. So
I felt it too.
Yeah,
I really feel like a difference in Thor.
I think that this was okay to see it pretty much however you wanted to. And let's just get right into it. What are your guys' thoughts? Because I would consider this a relatively controversial film. I'm asking the room. Whoever wants to talk first.
Well, I guess why would you say that it was a controversial film?
Controversial, first of all, because from what I'm reading, it's hitting on really mixed. It's got mixed ratings. As of right now, its Rotten Tomatoes score is not ideal. It's at a 68% with only an 82% users. So that right there puts it in the lower tier of MCU films, especially compared to Spider-Man, The Last Thor, Ragnarok, and obviously the other MCU films that have come up since then. It puts it in the lower sort of tier, and people are kind of blaming a bizarro kind of script, and I disagree. I don't think it was as bizarre or as edgy as people said. If you liked Thor Ragnarok, you're obviously going to like this because you enjoy Taika Waititi's humor, but I don't really see anything controversial about this except for the fact that it's getting such mixed and potentially low reviews. So I'm a little bit taken aback by that factor.
So here's the thing, Steve. It was a good movie. It wasn't a great movie. There were some parts that were funny. That you chuckled. But it wasn't anything to where when you left the movie theater, you were like, wow, did you see that part? Wow, that was a great movie. It was just like, yeah, that was an enjoyable 2 hours of my life, but I'm okay with now that I've seen it. Like, I don't feel like I need to see it again.
I think those critic reviews make me sad. Not because I don't agree with him, but because I wanted him to have so much success because I love him so much. But it was slightly underwhelming. I just think Ragnarok was so freaking good and so unique that this, I feel like, just had trouble trying to follow it. Its humor tried to almost match it and one up it, and I think it just tried a little too hard some of the parts. But yeah, I definitely don't think it's better than Ragnarok.
I would agree, Dana, with your assessment 100%. It was a fun time in the theater. I would watch this a second time more, I guess you could say, eagerly than to watch Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness a second time. That is a weird one. I had a lot of fun seeing that. Had a lot of plot holes. It's on Disney Plus now, and I have 0.0% interest in watching it again. But I don't remember having like a hostile opinion when I saw it the first time. This I would watch again. I think it's mostly because of the humor factor. The Guardians of the Galaxy were in it for about 5 minutes tops, but I always like that. And it does end in a very interesting way. So, Jay, what are your thoughts?
So I have to tell you, I agree with with all you guys. My feeling is that I was a little bit disappointed with the lack of Guardians. I actually expected more, but basically what you got in the trailer is what you got in the movie.
Yep.
But I would say that this movie, you can tell, needed Loki badly.
Man, that's one of the biggest things I keep reading. Yep.
I mean, I enjoyed it a lot, but it's definitely one I'll see again. But that's going to be definitely a Disney Plus type thing, and yeah. So, but Thor Ragnarok, I agree, is a lot better than this one.
It needed some sort of callback to the Avengers. This felt almost, if I think back to it, not counting the Guardians because it was like 5 seconds, without any sort of Avengers callback, it kind of felt like a Thor parody. Like I felt like just watching him be goofy, and everyone else's complaint is there wasn't enough Christian Bale. There needed to be a lot more of him because he's the God Butcher, and then you don't really see him take down a lot of gods. You pretty much see like a montage of like 1, 2. And then you hear that he killed other ones, but you don't actually see him go on a whole tirade thing. But also, they said that they cut out so much from these movies. They cut out whole planets, characters, scenes. I think they took out way too much. And I don't know whose decision that was, but I think that maybe it could have been what they're missing.
So, Jay, you and I, you remember, we talked about this before. Taika Waititi's quote 2 years ago was that this is the goofiest movie he's ever made, and he can't believe that Marvel let him do it. I kind of went into this thinking it was going to be like that, and I left with something like, no, this was less out there and less bizarre than Ragnarok. I felt like this was more reined in, to be honest. So do you get that feeling, or do you feel like it was a little out of the gate, just craziness? Because he made it sound like it was, and I don't think so.
I would agree to the point where I think it's definitely a little bit more than Ragnarok, but I don't know. It's along the same lines.
Yeah, I would say it's a very comparable, but that statement that he made, I was walking into it thinking we were going to get something bizarro and crazy. So the guys on this channel, Blade, Lance, and Ken, mostly Blade and Lance, had no interest in seeing this. They didn't like where the direction was going, and they hated Ragnarok. So if you're in that group of people that did not like Ragnarok, I'm going to be honest, you're not going to like this movie. It's still goofy. It still has funny stuff. But before we get any further, let's just go through, and I think we all kind of are on the same page. Let's give it a letter grade before we go on to some spoiler territory, because there are some big spoilers we're going to be covering, including both post-credit scenes, the ending. But let's just go through it real quick. Sarah, letter grade. What are you going to give it?
I'd say a B. I wouldn't say B+. It would be minus, a solid B.
Okay. Dana?
I'm not as nice of a grader, so I'm going to go with a C.
Jason?
Over here, Jason.
I know it is.
I'm gonna split the difference between both of you guys, but I agree it's more of a C level for me, so I'm gonna do a C plus on this.
If I'm comparing this to the last MCU film, which was Multiverse of Madness, this I would say is significantly better, but I don't know significant enough. So I would go as probably a low B, upper C, definitely not anything higher than a B. Just if we're going by that. Fun time in the theater, like Dana said. I'm not jumping to rewatch it or anything like that. So to continue this on and try to keep this to a relatively short review show, were there any defining moments, anything that you just, here we go, by the way, spoilers, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You have been warned. We are going into the details of the film now in a short way, not a total crazy breakdown, but we will be talking spoilers. Anything jump out to anyone in the room that was like, oh my God, this blew my mind, or this, or what does this mean? Because there's, to me, only one thing jumps out that I think is going to be a very interesting future thing for the MCU. What do you guys have?
What's yours? Because I
just
can't think of something right now.
Well, mine is the ending scene is literally him teaming up with Gore's daughter, correct?
Oh, yes.
And they're running out together and fighting together. How in the hell is that going to work in the future? Because I'm getting flashbacks of The Boys, which super powered kid being watched over by the former villain of the dad kind of thing. And those don't typically end very well. But in this one, it's just, where's Thor going to go from here? By the way, they are setting this up for a second or what would this would be the fourth Thor film. We have 1, 2, and 3. This would be, if there's another one, it would be the fourth Thor film, which we know that they are.
This was the fourth.
No, this was the third one.
Fourth.
This was the fourth one. You had 1, 2. Oh, no, fifth. Yes,
Yeah,
Ragnarok
so
was the
it's
fourth one. So it would be the biggest, the longest running standalone franchise in the MCU with Thor. And I would have to imagine that it's got to be the end for him. But where do we go? How does Thor go on in intergalactic battles with an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old, whatever she is, that's the daughter of the God Butcher? I just don't see where that's going to fit into the MCU unless they really minimize it or they don't make a focus of it. Do you guys have any opinions on that? Because that's the thing that I'm stuck with.
I'll say fast forward to her being a teenager and then them side by side.
It would be interesting to see them like casting like a 15 or 16-year-old version of her, but that would mean a significant jump in time.
Well, do we know what the rumor is? I mean, do we know when that's going to be coming out? Because all it says Thor will return.
Nothing. As a matter of fact, there is 0.0 nothing. We don't know if Taika's coming back. We don't know anything about it except for Chris Hemsworth is committed to doing another one. So that's literally the extent of it. I would hope if there's another one, it would have to deal with Loki again and maybe the time, sort of factor from the Loki show. But forget that. We just don't know. We have no idea.
Is he going to go back from God bod to dad bod then? Now that he's dead?
I like how you're calling it. I like God bod.
That's what they say in the movie.
Yeah, I know, but I like that that's a thing. I like that.
Dad bod
to God bod.
To God bod.
Yep.
Now he's going to go back to dad bod. Because he's dad.
Can you imagine if he went back to dad bod? Would that kill it for you?
No.
Killed it the first time for me.
So what?
Woman, the libido went.
Oh my! Are you kidding me? Did you guys read my mom's review? Cinema Sandy on Instagram. She just wrote that one of the best parts of it was the fact that he's like naked. So my mom leads up to the lady stereotype of just wanting to swoon after Chris Hemsworth.
Well, they said that was the best shape they've seen anyone in the Marvel universe.
Could we?
Because even Chris Pratt was like, when he took his shirt off, they were like, "What have you done?"
Can we talk about that for a second, you guys? I have never seen a guy that big before. He was massive. And Chris Hemsworth gets big for roles. This was, no, forget that. He wasn't just trim like he was in the other Thor movies. He was huge. Like, he was massive. He was I think it's one of the biggest men I've ever seen that's not, out of shape. I've just never seen somebody that huge before. Yeah, the amount of time that he must have put into doing that is crazy.
Well, it's like those promos that he's shooting for that workout video that he's not in.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. That's his sort of pet project, isn't it, Jay?
Yep.
Well, I thought he looked
working
great
for him.
Yeah, no, Data and Sarah and my mom agree. I thought that he was fantastic, but this is one of the things I can't tell if people like or don't like. I think that this new version of Thor with a sense fantastic. He's so good. He gets better every movie. And I think people are not realizing that Chris Hemsworth isn't just the guy we're talking about that's in the best shape of any man I've ever seen. He is freaking hilarious and really good at being relatable in those moments and heartfelt and sad, but also incredibly funny. Do you guys like this new version of him, or do you think that it's going a little too goofy? Because that's what sort of Blade and Ken and Lance think, that it's a little too off the rails.
No,
I think he's going a little too into it.
Fun.
I loved when we saw him with a sense of humor in Ragnarok. I think this one didn't have as many serious moments though. Like, I love when he jokes. It's freaking hilarious, but I honestly can't think of a whole lot of serious moments that he had. Almost every moment had some sort of joke or him being kind of funny. Like, even seeing the kids in the cage and him saying, making jokes about that, like, made kind of like they had to crowbar a joke in, which is fine, but some of them didn't land. And I feel like when you're trying that hard, maybe just let things have its moment. I don't know. Maybe I'm just
I think it fits into his role. It fits into what they're trying to portray him as. He's been hurt over and over again. He's masking himself more and more. And as you mask yourself, you become more of a comedian, so you can hide behind it. And I think that makes sense.
Yep, that. Gosh. Dana, you just nailed it.
Dug another layer.
I got goosebumps on that one.
Yeah, you're married to one crazy woman.
Just so we're clear, no one in the MCU has lost more than Thor, except for, Quill lost his mom, which was brutal, but Thor lost Loki. He lost his mom. He screwed up killing Thanos the first place and had to redeem himself that way. He had to go back. His sister came back. His dad. Yeah. So Thor, I think, is maybe the most tragic character in the modern MCU. And Asgard is gone. Absolutely. He watched, what's his name die? Both of them. Carl Urban, what's his name, from Ragnarok dying, and Idris Elba. He's seen a lot of Jane, but he's seen some shit go down. So I see that. Dana, you just nailed it. Absolutely. And I think that evolution is super smart and absolutely what they're going for. And I don't think anyone can do that better than Taika. Just go watch Jojo Rabbit. He can deal with sadness and sorrow in a good way. People mask it. What else jumps out for you guys as things that you loved or didn't love, or what do you think? Rapid fire. Just go for it.
I would have to go ahead and say that I was disappointed with the Guardians, or the lack of the Guardians. Not only that part, but I didn't like how they looked.
They looked weird.
They looked very weird to me.
Mantis didn't look right.
No.
Did you see her mouthing her words or something right before she finally answered the question?
I did not see that. I would have to go and watch that again. I did not notice that. I did notice.
She did. It was so weird. I was like, what is she doing? Like, she did it for like a good, 3-4 seconds. And it was so awkward. And then she finally jumped in, and then everybody laughed because of what she said. But,
Quill looked like skinnier, and his hair was all messy and longer. He looked a lot skinnier to me. Like, I don't know. He was huge in Guardians of the Galaxy, like upper body huge. And this one, he just kind of looked skinny. Not that that's a complaint, but you're right. They looked different to me. They look like an off-brand version.
Yeah,
they kind of did.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. They're the Kierland version of the Guardians of the Galaxy. This episode sponsored by Kierland. Go buy us at Costco or Walmart or whatever the hell it is, Sam's Club. What do you got, Dana? What jumped out for you? Anything that you loved or didn't like?
I didn't like that Jane had to die. I kind of think I would have liked to see that continue a little bit longer.
Oh, really?
But I get why she had to. But
okay, I could see that. Yeah.
I don't know.
Which kind of opens up a weird thing too. Where is that going?
I kind of wanted Thor to finally get her.
You mean like Jay? Okay. So I can kind of see that. Jay, do you mean like where it's going with the afterlife? Because they very clearly show that some of the A-list characters are there in the afterlife with Jane. Is that what you're talking about? Like, do you think it's going to go anywhere since then, or no?
That's kind of what I was thinking. Now, is that going to bring in where Loki's going to be a part of it because it's an afterlife type thing? And is that where they're going to need Jane? I mean, who knows where that's going to go?
Well,
but
I don't know where that would possibly go. What, they're going to escape the afterlife, or they get redeemed? Or?
Now we're talking some Pirates of the Caribbean shit, where
that would be a little much. If they do anything with that, I think it would be really bad.
Yeah, I can agree that I liked Jane in this one, and I thought that she was good. And you guys know I'm the exact opposite of Jay on this. I'm not a huge Natalie Portman fan, but I did like her in this one a lot, and I would have enjoyed seeing her again in the future. But I have to be honest, I did like the humanistic point of her story, and I thought that it grounded the whole thing in a good way. So while you're kind of bummed out that she's not going to be around, if she's not, they did it in what I think is maybe the coolest way possible by – What other characters outside of Quill's mom dying of a tumor and cancer do you know that have a human sort of element to it? Like Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. Sure, he had issues. His were caused by, the stuff that happened to him and keeping the metal away from his heart and then his power system. But the rest of them, to the best of my knowledge, at least on the surface level of MCU, this was the first time that you'd had a real human element to it outside of PTSD and depression, which is stuff that we've seen other characters do, mostly Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. But I liked that, though. I thought that it kind of grounded the whole thing. The whole thing takes place in a planet not on Earth, pretty much. So having someone with a terminal illness, I thought made it a really interesting take. I don't know. I didn't mind that. I thought it was actually fantastic.
I didn't mind the whole storyline. I just was disappointed she had to die. I guess that's I wish she could have continued.
She was just as goofy as Thor, though, with trying to come up with a catchphrase. Like, they didn't make her try to be all tough the whole time, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah. I did like one of the things that stood out that I thought was super cool was the hammer breaking apart and hitting people and then coming back together. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
What a great way to put, like, it's still broken, but, it can still kill and come back. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I like that, too.
Well, the soundtrack is great. The movie runs at around just over 2 hours. Is that what it is? 2.5?
It's exactly like 2 hours.
It's just over 2 hours. So it's to watch if I'm 2 hours and 5 minutes. So nothing crazy outrageous. It's an easy one to watch, like Dana said. And I could not agree with it more. Let's just go into the post-credit scenes real quick because, Jay, we've talked about this before. This is why people listen to Nightcap Chat, is because the other guys all know more about these things than I do. And Jay, we know the MCU and the movies, right, Jay? As far as comic books go, I don't know anything about anything. I've been pretty upfront about that for years. I will never read one of them unless it's something crazy. But even then, I'm a movie fan and a TV guy. So I am blown away with the idea of the Greek gods being in these films besides Thor. I know he's a Nordic god, blah, blah, blah. But when they said that Russell Crowe was playing Zeus and he did a fantastic job as Zeus, he was hilarious and it was interesting and he looked the part. I started thinking like, okay, well, how far does this whole gods thing go? And I thought that it stopped at Zeus. And let's just cut to the post-credit scene here because the big post-credit scene is obviously they show an upcoming character that will be in the future. And that would be the introduction of Hercules. And Hercules is played by Brett Goldstein, who plays Roy Kent. And I personally am a huge fan of this guy simply from the show. So I'm pumped to see him in a big role because he's so great on Ted Lasso. But I am so confused by all of this. Like, are the Greek gods part of it? So I asked Lance, and Lance gave me the breakdown. Yeah, they're big. They're all of the Greek gods are in the MCU in some way. In the Marvel universe. And they interact. And a lot of them, including Hercules, end up being a part of the Avengers and the other group, which name I can't remember, but they're all there. So what do you guys think about them bringing in more of these godlike characters over here?
I don't know. It seems like a lot to add. It's like bringing in a whole other franchise almost.
That's exactly how it feels to me. Bringing in a whole series of gods seems like its own world. Like, I feel like Thor is different because he's been on Earth and dealing with the Avengers since day one, right? But, well, not really day one, but for us, it was the third movie. They teased it after that. But bringing in all of the different gods, you're right. It seems like a different franchise.
It's hard to keep up, I feel like. It's going to feel like the more I see them in the Avengers, the less it's going to make sense, and the more I'm going to try to figure it out, and then it's just going to get more confusing.
Well,
And then
yeah, and
it's just going to feel wrong.
Yeah, and especially if they go ahead and tie in, like the characters you have in Moon Knight and, that kind of stuff. And can you imagine?
God, the Egyptian gods. Oh, my God.
Yep.
Ah, God. Oh, my God. Sorry. And this has been Incapate. No, I'm just kidding.
Dana, do you like Hercules? Do you like the idea of the Greek gods? Do you want to keep it more linear? In this stage of the MCU, you're going to have to start introducing new characters, right? It's there. I didn't know this was a thing, but if it is what it is, I do like the casting of him. He does look the part to me.
I agree. Go ahead, Jen.
I guess my thing is that you have very different perspectives based on kind of like what you were saying at the beginning, Steve, about, if you're a comic book person or if you're more of a Marvel, I want to watch the movies and the shows kind of person. Because I think our impression of things are different. It's kind of like Star Wars, right? If you are a fan since the original movies, it's real hard to love the new movies because it's just not the same. But if you're coming into it in the new movies, you're like, what's wrong with them, right? So I think it's the same thing with Marvel. If you're like, from our perspective, we're not comic book people. So we're just kind of think of it, how could you make the storyline make sense from a movie or TV perspective? My biggest concern is from our perspective, from movies and TV, is you're getting to a point to where I have to almost watch everything to appreciate the next thing that comes out. And if I miss something, like if I haven't watched Moon Knight or I haven't watched this show, I'm going to start to lose interest. And I think that could be a dangerous road for Disney to go down, because they could start losing people because people just get tired.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, except also, I don't know. I feel like I compare myself to the only other people I really interact with in this world, which is Blade, Ken, and Lance. Then I'm more sort of liberal with what I'm okay with seeing and what I'm not. I don't need it to be totally linear to the comic books, yet I want it to be fun to watch on screen, right? So for me, it's like I'm a healthy medium of what you just described, Dane, and I can take something new, no problems, as long as it kind of makes sense. But when you open up, now we've got, like you said, in Moon Knight, and now these gods, it's like there's just an unlimited amount of this and of good guys and bad guys in different worlds. And that to me seems a little bit like you're biting off a lot here, because then what did we say was the whole problem? Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow, and all these ones is that everyone always goes, well, where are the Avengers? Now the world is getting so big that the Avengers almost are meaningless. There's so many stories and stuff going on. The Avengers is gone. And I genuinely think that the MCU that we know and love is gone after Endgame. And not because of the studio being to this or to that. I just think he wrapped it up so well in a tight universe. Now that we're blowing it up to Greek gods, Egyptian gods, people that are coming up with new powers. Sarah, what's the girl have in the show you're watching, Miss Marvel?
I was just about to say Miss Marvel has a whole other list of, like, not really God, their version of, the religious, good and bad guys, basically. They haven't really said anything about the gods, but there's a whole group of people who are the bad guys in this that are technically part of the religion. So, I mean, you're adding a whole nother one in there. It's going to start adding up.
Yeah, I just fear that it's getting too big. And if it gets too big, then to me, it loses the intimacy of we need to save Earth, because now it's no longer like that. Are you guys getting the same vibe, or do you not really care? Bring it out. Multi-galaxies, it doesn't matter.
I think we're saying the same thing, because I think in the long run, your viewer is going to become exhausted.
Okay. Yeah.
Because they're struggling to keep up, because there's just too much.
See, now this is where I think that they're going to get in trouble, Jay. What do you think? Because, people said that people were getting sick of Star Wars, which I argued every day. I'm like, how can they be sick of Star Wars? I don't understand. It's every other year that you have a linear story, and then in between it's one film. We're getting 3 Marvel films a year and 3 series a year. Is this the thing that's going to finally start to break people's viewership, and maybe people will start getting Marvel fatigue? Because people said they had Star Wars fatigue, and I didn't understand. I'm like, how are you getting Star Wars fatigue? You saw Rogue One and Solo, and everyone didn't like Solo. I'm like, that's it? You're done after seeing 2 bad ones? Have you Marvel movie? There's plenty of bad ones in there.
Yes. Yeah.
You think so? You think it's on its way out, or?
No, I agree. I mean, we've talked about this many times, especially with this whole Star Wars part of it. But I agree. It's going to start slowing down here because, like, everybody's. I mean, we're all basically saying the same thing, but
Yeah,
it's getting hard to keep up. It really is. I haven't even gotten to Miss Marvel yet, and I don't know. Do I need to?
No.
If you want to keep up with where the future is going, you may be. That's the point.
Well,
But
if you want, I'll finish it and then I'll let you know if you need to, because at this moment, it's not worth it.
Yeah, Jay, she's kind of telling me what we said about Obi-Wan. You remember, what did you say? Watch episodes 1, 2, and 6, right? It's like, okay, if she sees something important, she's going to tell us, like, just watch episode 5. It's kind of like Hawkeye was kind of, I don't want to be mean. Hawkeye was kind of a useless story, but you needed to see that Kingpin was back. And we just found out last week that Kingpin and Charlie Cox, Daredevil, are in a new upcoming project for Marvel. We don't know if it's going to be a Disney Plus series or a film, but we know that they're getting one. So you always put those in. With Thor, to bring it back to Thor, I didn't really get the vibe that there was anything else going on. It just felt very tight to the outside non-Avengers world. It's his own story, which is okay. And I really liked Gore. I thought Gore the God Butcher, played by Christian Bale, was fantastic. But you said it earlier, Sarah, there wasn't enough of him. I wanted to see more. The thing that people keep on saying is how, you kind of understand them, just like Thanos. And I'm like, yeah, when we saw Thanos, I felt for him because we saw a lot of Thanos. In this, I don't feel like we saw enough to really take his side. He kind of just seemed angry, which is okay, but after Infinity War, weren't there shirts and hashtags? Thanos wasn't wrong, or Thanos was onto something. Like,
He just got it right.
Yeah, Thanos had it right. That's what they've used. I don't feel he put in the impact here that I keep on hearing that he did.
So rushed. I think they just cut out too much.
I'm kind of curious too what the time frame between Ragnarok with Hera and then the time frame, who had longer screen presence. Because I thought like Hera did actually a great job presenting her character, but I don't think she was on the screen as long.
Played by Melissa McCarthy.
No, it wasn't. Well, let's just look real quick. Thor Ragnarok is 2 hours and 10 minutes long. This is only 7 minutes shorter. So it's not like the film itself was cut down. Maybe just more focus on Thor and Jane. And that kind of sucked away, because in Ragnarok, the point was she was destroying Ragnarok and Thor was working with Loki. To go back, Jay, I really think that Loki is going to be crucial. He's just too good of a character. He's too good of Tom Hiddleston is too good of an actor. He just molded that role. Hey, Dana, do you have a major crush on him like every other girl?
No, I mean, I think he's great, and I like watching him in the movies, but I wouldn't say I crush on him, no.
Neither does Sarah, but you...
If he's got short hair, I like the short hair, but I don't like the long, greasy black hair.
When we saw, Jay, was it D23 when they did that panel and he came out and the girls went absolutely apeshit when he came out? People love Loki. I just, I miss him. Those two work so well together. We could go on and on about this. We have our ratings out there. We went over the post-credit scene. There's an end post-credit scene, which shows, what's the very last one?
That's the Valhalla, whatever it's called.
The which one?
Where the gates of Valhalla.
Oh, okay. So the last one is the one with them in quote unquote Valhalla heaven, whatever it's called. The mid post credit scene, which is the only other one, was the one where you saw the introduction of Hercules, and then the movie ends with finding out that Thor is going to go take on the rest of the galaxy with Gore's daughter. So let's go over the important factors here. This is on track to beat Spider-Man Far From Home. Right now, it is getting $100 million day opening on Thursday, resurging past everything else, and they are estimating that the opening to be around $244 million. So, I said Far From Home, not No Way Home, which would be 33% based on what Deadline is saying, higher than Spider-Man Far From Home, leading all movies. So, if summer has proven anything, There are 3 movies, $10 million opening up this weekend. It's a very busy weekend at the theaters. We just had Minions come out last week, which definitely does suck away ticket sales from both franchises because Minions just broke records. So I think that this thing is just going to crush. They're expecting it to do very, very well. I just don't know how many people are going to see it multiple times. And that's the thing that puts these movies over the top. Yeah. You got anything? Sarah just says no, and she shakes her head. Well, there we go. So let's just go here and see. Tickets are now an average of $15 a seat at AMC, so you do have to take that into consideration. By the way, wow, that's fascinating to think about, right? That's not IMAX. That's just your regular ticket seat. How much did you guys spend on your tickets, by the way?
I don't even know. I don't remember.
Dana and Sky got them. I don't remember. I paid for refreshments, but
yeah, we paid. I think we paid $17 for IMAX, which would probably put it a couple of dollars more for for regular. So 15 sounds about right. That's crazy that's where we're at right now. But I guess that could be part of the reason why. Because when No Way Home came out, the average ticket price was $11 or $12. I know that for a fact because I read the whole entire article. So now they're literally saying it's $3 more per ticket, which could be contributing to it. I hope this does really well. I don't have anything negative to say about this movie. It wasn't so the other guys on our show, they think that this was going to be too woke and crazy. I don't think it was woke at all. At all. I mean, I can't think of one woke factor in the film. Now, they have some about Hercules, which we could get into in a different show that has nothing to do with the film. But what we saw on screen, I thought it was very down the middle. It walked the tight line of humor and sweetness and sadness and funny with also being a Marvel movie. And it didn't really offend or woke anybody. So I would say, in my opinion, I can't think of one thing that was like that. Can you guys think of anything that would be quote unquote woke or too offensive? Because that's what the wide response of people online is, that they don't want to see it because of that. And I just don't understand that thought process because I didn't see one bit of it.
I don't think it was.
So I just want to throw something out there, Steve, that I think that we need to be clear on. And you kind of almost touched on it, but the cost of going to a movie, like for us, for a family of, I think was there 8 of us that went?
Oh my God.
And then by the time you buy refreshments, it's expensive. Now, I didn't regret going to see it because I like Thor and it was an enjoyable movie. But I feel like Disney needs to step back and look at the movies that they're producing in general and say, how are we going to get people to keep spending the money to go to the box office when they know if they wait just a couple weeks, they can watch it at home on Disney Plus for a lot less with their own food and their own popcorn, especially if they're a family of 4 or 5.
So
because I just don't think they're bringing the movies like they used to.
Jay, I love that she said that for a couple of reasons. Number one, I totally agree. But the other one, Jay, I listen to Ink and Paint because we just talked about this. Sarah doesn't listen to our show either. This is the problem, is if there's a movie out there today. So Jay and I just talked about this with Buzz Lightyear. I had no interest in seeing it. But when it's on Disney Plus, I'll go and I'll give it a watch. And all you have to do is wait a month and a half is what they've done. And Steve-O said it perfectly. He said, Disney created this mess and now they're going to have to live in it. And I think that that's the world we're in, Dane. You just nailed it. And I have used you guys as an example in my Comic-Con panel. Jay, we bring it up almost every single episode. For your family to all go to a movie, you almost have to budget for that and save up. It's not the same thing as it used to be. You can't just go to see every new Friday movie opening night. You can't do it. It costs hundreds of dollars. People today can watch stuff on Netflix. Let me remind you, at the same exact time that this is going on, The Boys season 3 just ended, which is one of the highest rated things to stream. Stranger Things season 4 is out now. How people are finding a way to compete with that is a totally different beat. Dane, you're totally right. It's expensive as hell. And I have brought your family up multiple times as an example. Sarah, Lila, and I will go. 2 of us have AMC A-list, so we get our tickets for free. Well, we pay $22 a month, I think, for 1 ticket a week. So we don't really feel it like you guys do because you have 8 people at once. But it's outrageous. The tickets and the food and everything. But as someone that worked at a movie theater, I know why they have to charge that. It's because theaters don't make the money on the ticket sales; they make their money on the refreshments. And if you don't, if you give it away for free, then you don't do it. That's why dollar theaters sell their popcorn for $2.50 is because their movie didn't cost them anything. So it's part of the nature of the beast. But I totally agree. So let's wrap this up then, Dana. I'm going to go with you first. Would you recommend people go out to see this in the theaters or wait a month and a half to? We should use this on every review show we do because it's going to put this on Disney Plus in about a month. So the question would be, would you recommend someone go see this in the theaters or wait a month and a half and watch it at home?
I would wait a month and a half and watch it at home.
Wow.
There was nothing about it to where seeing it in a theater made it that more grander to make it worth the money I had to spend to take the family to see it in the movie theater.
All right. Disney, pay attention. This is important. Sarah.
I'm surprised that our theater wasn't full. On opening night, it wasn't like empty, but there were a lot of open seats. Usually on a big theater, a big movie, the whole front row is taken up. But
open seats, but also the front row was totally empty, and most of the second row was totally empty.
Yeah,
there
you
were two
had
people,
an empty seat,
and I had an empty seat next to me.
That weird guy sat down by himself and played on his phone by himself. That was weird. But I would see it in theaters. I don't know. I like the experience of seeing Marvel in theaters, but I could see Dana's point of waiting. But to me, I just like going to see him. It feels like a Marvel movie when I go to see it in the theater.
Jason, what about you?
Sounds like your mom reprimanding you.
Every time Dana talks to him, it sounds like an angry mom.
Jason, did you eat your vegetables?
even when she says it's super sweet, Jason, where are we going to have dinner? It's like, oh, gross. I'm in trouble. We've talked about this before, though. This is not the show. Jay, recommend people see it in theaters or recommend them wait until August and see it at home?
I would recommend you see it in theaters, but find the cheap day that your theater offers and see it that day.
I like that. I kind of totally 100% agree. I like big theaters. I like the sound. I always enjoy the impact that it has. I'm a big theater guy, though, so I always typically lean towards that with something that's big and spectacle like this. But I would say, what's your thing, Jay? Do you have it too? Tuesdays? $5 Tuesdays at AMC?
$5 Tuesdays. We have it at Marcus. Okay,
that's what I think would be ideal. I still think this movie is definitely worth seeing in theaters. I had a hell of a lot of fun. It impacted me in a weird way I can't explain. I can't wait to watch it again to see if I get hit the same way again, if I was just in a weird mood. But I'm very excited to revisit it. Unlike Doctor Strange, Jay, I just didn't care to rewatch it. And I don't remember having bad feelings. I just didn't feel like, I need to see this again.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
But Dano, you would watch this again, right?
What, Thor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's okay. So I think it's definitely worth a visit. It's a tough one to tell. All right. Well, you guys, we'll wrap this up here. Thank you, Sarah, for joining us. Dana, thank you for joining us and lending your sarcasm and your
wittiness.
Your witty. That's what we do here on Nightcap Chat. Make sure everybody subscribe and tell your friends. Just so everyone knows, as a tip, Blade posts our show now on a, Jay, what are we calling it? A whenever necessary basis. So if Jay and I have an Ink and Paint to do, we're going to do it. And it's not going to be a scheduled Tuesday release like Ink and Paint used to be and what they do on Nightcap Chat. Now, every other week on Nightcap Chat, you can catch Steve O's new show, which is called The Newsroom, where he covers all pop culture and media-related news, and that's an every other week show. Go back and look at the last episode. Jay and I, with Steve O, with bad microphone technology, reviewed the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Dana, did you watch Obi-Wan?
I did.
Real quick, what are your thoughts in like 30 seconds or less?
I love Obi-Wan.
Oh, you loved it. Okay,
Obi-Wan. So I think the build up of the Obi-Wan character was great, and I love the fight scene with Vader. I thought that was one of my favorite shows that they've done for Star Wars since they've done it.
Jay, see how fascinating people's opinions are? This is why it's so weird to read comments, because we're living through it. Sarah, Obi-Wan Kenobi thoughts?
I liked it a lot. I like anything with Ewan McGregor. And I thought the scenes with him and Vader when they were fighting, like when his helmet broke off, was pretty iconic. that was instantly a really iconic scene, and that I think made a massive impact and pulled at people's heartstrings.
And then if you go back and listen to the last episode, you'll hear Jay and I and talk with Steve with a little more critical opinions, right, Jay? Because I just re-listened to it, and we all kind of come down on it kind of hard. I don't know what it was in the water that day, but listening to it, I was like, you know what? I agree with what we said, but I have a different opinion now. Not from what I said on the show, but the girls way higher up on the show than we were. And Jay, I still think that it's fascinating because it was like your most anticipated thing of all time. Yes. So, what's our next MCU movie? I think it's Black Panther, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
Out this fall.
Wakanda Returns, I think it is.
I think that's. No, that's a film. Yeah. I believe that's a film, right? Jay, that's a movie.
Yeah.
Because what's
coming out in November.
Yeah, it's a film. Yeah. And it's still made by what's his name. So no, it's definitely a film. But so we have that coming. And then we have another untitled one. But then more importantly, I think that we have We Are Groot that comes out in August. Then in Christmas, we have the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. And then more importantly, is it June, Jay? I think Guardians was bumped up now to June of 2023, which is bizarre because in 2023, no, wait, is it 2024? Jay, is Guardians 2023 or 2024?
I thought it was 23. Yeah.
Yeah, wait, so when is Ghostbusters 2 coming out? Because I thought we were going to get Guardians and Ghostbusters in the same year.
I thought it is in the same year, but that's in December, right?
Let's just look. It is in the same. Yeah, it is in December. Let's just see here. It says it has an official release date. Either way, this is not the show.
Yeah.
Jay, it is December 2023. So in the next year, we have some really good stuff coming out. Ryan Coogler, by the way, he's the director of Black Panther. I cannot wait to see what they do with that. I cannot wait to see what they do with the loss of Chadwick Boseman. It's gonna be unbelievable. It's either gonna be fantastic or horrible. I'm leading on the side of fantastic.
I think it's gonna have a big opening.
Oh, it's gonna destroy. And those I think that let's just end this. I think the trailer for Black Panther, when it comes out, might be the biggest Marvel trailer outside of Endgame. No, Jay, you don't think so? You have no opinion?
No, I agree.
I just think so many people are pumped about that. All right, well, we'll wrap this up. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more Ink and Paint. Listen to Nightcap Chat and the Newsroom, and stay tuned for more nonsense. Thank you for joining us. I've been Steve.
And I'm Jay.
And I'm the better half, Dana.
And remember, be greater.
Be yourself.
Sounds too. Did you just go put on leggings?
Yeah, I got cold in my legs.
She's so weird.
Is this not video? Is this only audio?
It's only audio.
Got it.
Okay, what about Sarah?
Hi.
Son of a bitch, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
And
then I'll say it's not because it's about to rain and thunder. Love. And then we'll get into it.